Greetings, folks. Healer here. Today I have a replay courtesy of my longtime colleague Jimijaz, who is sailing for us the Tier 10 U.S. Navy destroyer, the USS Gearing. He is in a division with two other players, also in Tier 10 ships. We have Filthy Beast in the premium Soviet cruiser, the Stalingrad, and Angry Ace in the premium U.S. Navy battleship, the USS Ohio. In fact, I think this is the first battle that Angry Ace sailed in that ship after acquiring it from the Research Bureau. So this is an all tier 10 3-point domination match on hotspot. There are no aircraft carriers and there are only two destroyers per team. Jimmy's build is a torpedo-centric build with the Gearing's legendary upgrade and the 16.5 kilometer torpedoes. With his build, he has slightly better concealment thanks to the legendary upgrade than he would normally have, but he gives up a little bit in his gun reload and his torpedoes for that benefit. Now, Jimmy did send some torpedoes into the Bravo cap based on his radio location indicator early in the battle, and he is indeed going to land a couple of torpedoes on whatever is in that cap right at the start. So I'm sure that was rather annoying to whatever ship went into that cap, since he did land torpedoes and did not sink anything. And since these torpedoes have pretty high alpha, he has either hit two targets or maybe one target with a larger hit pool other than, let's say, a destroyer. Jimmy is going to get the Charlie cap here for free, and that's not too uncommon in these 3-point domination matches when there are so few destroyers. One or both teams can often get caps for free without being contested. And the Allies, in fact, had already secured Alpha as well. Unfortunately, the Allies gave up first blood to the opposing team. They lost a Montana. I believe that was over by the Alpha cap to the Jimijaz. And so the team, while they do have a 2 cap to 1 cap advantage, are already down on points due to the loss of the battleship. Jimmy has sent out some more torpedoes here south of Bravo, where we see the Bourgogne that is just south of the Bravo cap. In fact, he just slipped in. In fact, speaking of slipping into caps, it looks like the opposition has moved into Alpha. I'm not sure what ship that is at this point, but the Allies are not only have lost a ship, but they're now already losing one of the caps that they secured. So Jimmy's going to move over here to Bravo to try to keep an eye on things in case the opponents send a larger force into the Bravo area. And it looks like the opposing Bourgogne took a pretty good hit there. That was just south of Bravo, and he's going to peel away. But the Allies have now lost a second ship, the Salem. And so now they're already down 2 ships, and now we do see that it is the Moskva that from the opposing team that is in the Alpha cap, and in fact he's may very well secure Alpha. I don't remember. There may also be another ship in there. The Moskva has terrible concealment for a cruiser, so if he was being hit and reset, there may have been another ship in that cap in order to help secure Alpha for the opponents. So things are not looking very good so far with a 2 ship deficit and now having lost one of the 2 caps that they had secured. Jimmy is going to come over and try to back cap Bravo if at all possible. He's obviously he's doing 2 things here. First off, Jimmy is going to make sure that he stays at least 12 kilometers away from the Moskva so that he avoids being radared. In fact, the Allies have now lost a 3rd ship. And again, I believe that is over on the Alpha side. So things, again, are really just not looking very good. Jimmy does get radared here. He's right on the edge of the radar cusp of the Moskva, but he's going to sail away here and drop off detection. And it looks like he is going to get Bravo here from the opponents and give his team back a 1 cap advantage. Now, one thing I should mention here is that I think Jimmy, when he originally sent this replay over to me, in fact, yeah, we can see a smoke screen, a fresh smoke screen that just went up at Alpha, so we know that there is a destroyer in there. I believe that's the Haragumo. So Jimmy, when he sent this replay to me originally, he, I think, had wanted to turn this into a division replay because the role of both Angry Ace and Filthy Beast are very crucial in this battle. Angry Ace is going to do some pretty hardcore tanking late in the match for the team. And Filthy Beast is going to kind of try to keep that east flank locked down so that he keeps the opponents from pushing up and getting, sort of a superior flanking position on the east side. And that probably would have made for a very interesting division replay, but unfortunately we were unable to get all the pieces put together to make that happen. But we have Jimmy's perspective, and that's going to give us a good view of how this match turns out nonetheless. The Allies again have a 4-ship deficit, having lost 4 ships to the opponent's none. Jimmy's preparing to send torpedoes on the Salem. Now, this is a bug that I think other content creators have pointed out. When you run a replay, the torpedo indicator will not always point correctly to the ship that the player is actually aiming for. In this case, Jimmy was aiming for the Salem, that is heading towards Bravo. Now that Salem is quite overextended, although I don't know how many opponents are able, or allies I should say, are able to fire on him other than Angry Ace. In fact, you can just see a salvo there going in there. But those torpedoes on the Salem are looking pretty good. And Jimmy, I think, is going to land enough to kill the Salem and win the game, and or secure the cap, or protect the cap, I should say, at Bravo, and get himself a devastating strike. Now, the west flank has obviously been overrun. The opponents have taken Alpha. Jimmy's trying to get some eyes on whatever is coming through on the west side, since we've lost track of most of those ships. And on the east side, the opponents have the opportunity to press that side pretty hard. They have literally half their team there, but in fact, the Allies have now taken out one of the ships that was over on the east side. So they've come back to a 2-ship deficit. We also know that the opponents have sent another ship back into Bravo, so that's going to now flip back to the opponent's side here in just a moment. Jimmy is lining up here to try to get some torpedoes on the Minotaur. Now, I think at this point, Jimmy didn't know whether this was a radar Minotaur or smoke. I think it turns out he is a smoke Minotaur. The Allies have now just lost the Henri that was over on the east flank. In fact, you can see Filthy Beast in the Stalingrad on the far east side on the 9 line. He's now basically the only thing on that far edge to help sort of contain the opposition from attempting to push up through on that far east side. And I think he basically is going to stay there for the rest of the battle, acting as sort of just a plug, if you will, to keep the opponents from pushing through on that side. Jimmy's obviously looking to keep things, keeping a close eye on these ships that are now pushed through Alpha and are headed towards Bravo. Fortunately, the Allies are able to take out the Jimijaz. In fact, that was Filthy Beast that was able to take out the Jimijaz. That was way over on the 10 line. So that definitely helps the Allies not having that very threatening torpedo destroyer potentially get on a flank or be able to torpedo into that large mass of Allies that are sort of compacted into Charlie. In fact, I would like to have a perspective of what those ships look like in terms of their orientation in that cap. The Allies have now sunk the Moskva, and so now they're starting to get things back a little more in hand. Although they are down by one ship, and they are down by 1 cap, they've now gotten it to less than 100-point differential. And Jimmy is going to move back down south here. Now, normally, I should first say that Jimmy is an extremely experienced and skilled destroyer player. In fact, the Allies have now evened up the ship count. And he normally would never sail this far north. But he obviously wants to, one, keep eyes on the opponents that had pushed through Alpha. In fact, you can see the smoke screen from the Minotaur that I mentioned earlier. And he also wants to be in a position to be able to back cap the opponents at Alpha, because they've now left that flank more or less wide open, and a very good concealment destroyer like the Gearing should be able to get in and sort of behind their flanks and be able to back cap at Alpha, while the Allies sort of hold things down on the east side. And here we see that there's been a quick trade here between losing the Allied Kurfürst, but the Kurfürst took out the Minotaur. So again, we're keeping the ship count even. The Allies are slowly falling further and further behind because they only have control over one cap to the opponent's two. But Jimmy is going to now be making his way towards the Alpha cap. Now, Jimmy is going to do something here that normally isn't good practice, which is effectively firing torpedoes in the direction of allies. It's bad enough to fire torpedoes from behind allies, but to fire torpedoes in the direction of allies is generally also inadvisable, although the main risk is going to be Angry Ace in the Ohio. But obviously Jimmy and Angry Ace are on voice communications, so Jimmy likely was telling Ace that he is sending torpedoes on the Yamato, and that Ace should not move forward yet until the torpedoes had either expired and exceeded their maximum range, or they had gone past Angry Ace. The Allies unfortunately do lose the Shimikaze to the Haragumo, so now it's just Jimmy is the only destroyer available on the team. He does land several torpedoes here on the Yamato. Doesn't quite finish off the Yamato, but I think, in fact, the Yamato just goes down from fires from Angry Ace's secondaries. So now we are on a 4-4. We have about a 50-60 point spread, and Jimmy is about to move into the Alpha cap. Once he does that, and once he secures that within the next minute here, the Allies will gain at a rate of 30 points per minute on the opposition towards getting even on the point spread. Now, once Jimmy has this Alpha cap, he's going to move towards Bravo. So this is not only is this a reflection of just using torpedoes and getting big numbers. He's already up over 125,000 in damage, mostly through torpedoes. In fact, he hasn't fired his guns on the opposition yet at all. It's also a reflection of just a very good awareness of what's going on and staying focused on the objective rather than chasing ships and just trying to get more torpedo hits just for the sake of getting torpedo hits. Jimmy is using his focus on the objective to send torpedoes at opportune moments, and he is still getting torpedo hits, but he's also helping to secure caps for the Allies, which is really crucial in winning games. My own experience as a destroyer player, it's not uncommon that for me, my most successful matches, have nothing to do with getting big damage numbers. It's about spotting for the team, securing objectives, controlling areas through torpedo spreads. Even if I don't make any hits, if I'm delaying the opponents, then I'm doing my job. Jimmy does run into a very low health Haragumo, finishes off with his first gun, salvos fired, and now the Allies have a one-ship advantage, and Jimmy has their team has now taken the lead. Jimmy's about to move into the Bravo cap, and now the opponents have no points coming in from any of the caps. Jimmy's going to be able to leverage the island here without having to use smoke. In fact, he lands a torpedo on the Yamato, and he's going to just start shooting up the Montana. So great focus on the objective and staying clear on what he needs to do as a destroyer, and not go off chasing ships to try to get torpedo hits. He does get torpedo hits when it's opportunistic, and does a really awesome job for his team. So Angry Ace in the Ohio, again, we don't have his perspective right now, but he was quite low health very late in the game. I don't remember. I think he did end up using all of his repair party consumables. Jimmy's trying to help get the Yamato down as the Yamato's trying to heal through the fire. They do get the Yamato down, and Allies, and he's going to secure actually his fourth solo cap for the entire game. The opposing team is down to this Montana that we can't see, and there was, I believe it was a Smolensk or some other cruiser that was on the far east side, which we've lost track of. But at this point, this game is very well locked up, all caps secured, and they're going to end up winning on points here very, very soon. In fact, the Montana is just about to go down, but you can see that Montana took a pretty big hit. I believe that was from Angry Ace and the Ohio. Angry Ace has really enjoyed the Ohio. He thinks it's a very strong ship. So for those of you who are aspiring to try to secure that ship for your own, Angry Ace, I know for sure, can highly recommend it. So that's going to lock up the match, and Jim is going to wrap up this battle with almost 158,000 in damage, 2 kills, 4 solo caps. Really excellent job for the team. I think the total, almost 2,800 base XP. Angry Ace comes in second of the team. Again, this is his first battle in the Ohio, I believe, at over 2,000 base XP. So excellent, well done all around for the entire team. So I hope you enjoyed the replay and the commentary. Please do leave your comments below. And as always, we hope to see you out there, and we wish you happy sailing.